Hello, everybody. One more time. So this is another update to the last update. I'm recording this as I'm driving through my neighborhood in north of Minneapolis here. Anyway, let's discuss the Reddit ban. So I finally managed to speak with someone on the Reddit mod team or whatever they are, just for the overall Reddit thing. And I got into a conversation with them. So here's what happened. And I'm going to let the ban stay. I'm not going to fight it or anything like that. That's stupid at this point, because I know I'm not going to stop doing what got me banned. Not specifically what originally got me a ban from one of the subreddits was, as I said before, I told a Nazi exactly how to unalive themselves, and that didn't go over well. That got me a boot from one. And then self-promotion of the podcast on now the second podcasting group that had booted me out. The first one was r/podcasting. And I noticed a lot of people on there were commenting with things like, oh, I want to do this with my show or that with my show, but I don't know what to do, X. I mean, it's really, general help forum kind of shit. And I would tell people, regarding like this or that, if it was a political show, like, hey man, I run, Gish Gallop Girl and yada, yada, yada. And it didn't matter what the quality of my content was. It didn't matter that I'd get a lot of upvotes, etc. The mods on r/podcasting came down on me pretty quickly, and they were like, no self-promotion, etc. I'm like, well, that's fucking stupid. And I did that. I just did that. Fuck them. I don't care. It's a dumb rule, and it's not breaking an actual law. So yeah, I let them throw me out of that one, and that was well over a year ago. Fast forward to more recent times, and as I had mentioned before on the show and in social media posts, I was booted from r/Candace Owens after going in there and telling them, who I am and what I do, because my username on Reddit was not Thomas Anderson. I had not quite figured that out several years ago when I made the username. I hadn't figured out that I was going to be doing a podcast 2 years later, that kind of thing. Anyway, the people, some of the people on r/Candace Owens, they were civil. There were a couple of knuckleheads in there, but most of the people that spoke with me about the show and what I do were civil. Well, within about 4 hours, that post was removed and I was banned by the mods in that group, which wasn't a big shock, but I was like, all right, man, whatever. So moving forward, r/podcasts, separate from r/podcasting. How Reddit groups go. If you've ever been on there and looked for anything, if you're one letter off or even capitalization, sometimes I think you can wind up in a different group entirely than the one you thought you were going to. Well, anyway, r/podcasts, I did a lot of talking on there with people, and I would always plug the show because, hell, we're free, why not? Well, anyway, r/podcasts, one of the moderators there, didn't like that, and it took me off of that one too. No self-promotion, blah blah blah. All right, fine, man, whatever. Moving on. Well, this entire time, ever since I got banned, as it were, from r/Candace Owens, as I've mentioned on the show before, I'd been reaching out to people on there directly. Like I would see their post and I would say something to the effect of, hi, I saw your post on r/Candace Owens. I run Gish Gallop Girl, a podcast dedicated to debunking Candace Owens. And then I would go through whatever I could say directly about their posts. Whether it was Candace whether it was someone wondering why Candace was pursuing the Brigitte Macron bullshit, or, one of my favorite ones that I responded to pretty regularly on there was people asking, people saying things like, I think I got a different version of this book, and they would mention, Hollywood Babylon, I'm sorry, Hollywood Babylon is a podcast. Not that. Hollywood Babylon, see how different that is? Hollywood Babylon, written by Kenneth Anger, where they would ask about Chaos, written by Tom O'Neill, or whatever other book Candace was currently talking about. And they would say things like, I think I got a different book than the one that she's pushing, because the things she's saying, I don't see them in here at all. And I would usually respond to those kind of people with the initial paragraph that I talked about. And then I would say something like, look, the odds are very good you did not get a different version. Candace is a bad student. Yeah, Candace's reading comprehension sucks on purpose. And then I would go into why. Well, it turns out that 5 people, they had reports of 5 people to the Reddit mod team that reached out to them and mentioned that I had been banned and I shouldn't be able to contact them, over DM, which is fair if you get banned from a forum. See, I'm used to the way that Facebook works, right? You get banned from a group on Facebook, you're never going to see stuff from them again, not from the group anyway. Individual members maybe, if you haven't been blocked on their accounts, but you get blocked from a group on Facebook, and you're not going to see shit, right? Well, that's understandable. But on Reddit, if you get banned from a group, you can still see their posts. You can't upvote, downvote, or comment, but you can still see their posts. Well, apparently, what I was doing by reaching out to these people and trying to have a civil discourse with them was seen as going around the ban, as it were. And so I got permabanned from Reddit for going around the ban. Now, I'm not sorry that I did that. When I was talking with the Reddit mod team, I was like, oh, only 5 people reached out to you? And he goes, well, how many times have you done this? I said, oh, in excess of 100, easily. Because I went back to the fact that, like, I'd been reaching out to at least one person a day, sometimes as many as 3 or 4. And the guy's like, I'm surprised you didn't, I assume it was a guy. Anyway, that's on me. Goes, I'm surprised you weren't, caught sooner. And I was like, well, I'm not reaching out with any kind of actual malice. I'm reaching out to try to, like, help people. But if that breaks the terms of service and whatever, I can't tell you to not do your job, I was like, plus, man, I don't really care. I've done the work that I've done and I stand behind it. I'm not sorry that I went around a poorly constructed ban to try to help people out. To try to get them away from a grifter that is living on their clicks and merch sales and subscriptions and all that shit. I'm not sorry I did that. And the mod was like, well, okay. Yeah. The ban stays. All right, fine, whatever. And I deleted Reddit off my phone. I did, obviously, like, before all of that happened is when I had immediately made a separate account and I posted up about that and everything. Well, they eliminated that one too. They also eliminated my my alt accounts that I had. So unless I feel like going through the song and dance again of making an account on, another, like, free email or whatever, I will not be on Reddit. The show will not be represented officially on Reddit anywhere. And honestly, I'm fine with that. I helped as many people out as I could. I'm still obviously very welcome on platforms like Blue Sky, where I've done a little more posting. Blue Sky is fine. I've gotten a lot of followers over the last several days, which is pretty neat. But I don't really want to be on the socials that much. I feel confident with what we do on the show that I don't feel like I need to build the audience up anymore. I can kind of leave building the audience to people's general curiosity and maybe the audience itself. Yep, there goes a police officer. So that's kind of it. I think that's where I'm at right now on all of this. For anybody that I was DMing with via Reddit, who was having a good conversation with me before it all happened, y'all can still reach me. I'm at Gish Gallup Girl on Blue Sky and on Twitter, but I don't fuck with the Twitter that much. I really just go there to see what is going on in the Nazi sphere. But yeah, if y'all want to reach out to me, you can DM me on Blue Sky. There's always the email address if you feel comfortable sending an email. It is Thomas Anderson at Gish Gallup Girl. I think that's it. We're not on Facebook still. I don't really want to fuck with Facebook. I use Facebook in my normal daily life. I don't really want to switch accounts or any of that crap. So I guess that's it. If you guys want to reach out to me, Blue Sky's an option. Email is a great option. I check my email several times a day for various things. So yeah, that's it. If anybody has any questions, you can take them to me there. Otherwise, we should have another episode up next week. I have to start getting into the real weeds of it today. I took a couple days off to fuck around on the new No Man's Sky expedition mission, and I'm just about done with that. So I've got my head back on. I'm not gonna pretend the Reddit ban didn't kind of fuck with me a little bit. It did, but man, it's like getting fired from a job you really know is toxic, but you kind of enjoy spending time there, and then you get let go, and it's like, you got to hang out there one more time. And you're like, what am I doing? If I'm not getting paid to be here, why the fuck am I here? It's that kind of thing. That kind of like brain juice, I guess. I don't know how to put it. But yeah, that's it, everybody. Have a great day. We look forward to seeing you all again in a week. Of course, whatever platform you get this on, feel free to leave comments down below. I may leave this one and the other one up. I'm undecided on that. But yeah, our next official episode should be maybe not a week from now. What is this, Tuesday? Yeah, this is Tuesday. Okay. No, our next episode will be anywhere from next Wednesday to next Friday, of course. Unless I have to go do a mountain of research like I had to do for polio. All right, that's it, everybody. Bye. Let's see if I can figure out how to shut this off safely. There we go.